I know what some people are saying. All right, Stetson's gone. Was Stetson the holder of the magic? Well, just because you hold the wand doesn't mean you're the only one with the magic. All right, everybody's going to be talking about the quarterback situation. Because if you're Georgia, you did lose both tackles, 2 fantastic tackles that are going to play in the NFL for a while. But Amarius Mims is a guy that we know is a future NFL starting left tackle. They're going to bump him out there. We know the way they've recruited. And you return all 3 of your interior guys, including quite possibly the best center in the country returning. So Georgia, the way they recruited, we know they just stack on stack on stack, and they've seen how to win. They know the blueprint. So these are guys that they've recruited off huge successful years. Like, this is when you see that national championship, the first one, come to fruition with some of these young guys. And we know that Kirby's recruited at an elite level the whole time at Georgia. But I don't think the offensive line is going to be a problem. I don't worry about that with Georgia. Now, when you get to the quarterback position, looks like Carson Beck, to me, is going to be the guy. You look at the experience last year, he's the favorite going into spring. You've got Vandagriff, very highly touted. Gunnar Stockton, very highly touted. Should have went to Auburn, but that's a story for another day. I think they're going to be battling it out for second place. Now, the biggest question in the era of the transfer portal is, one of those guys is probably going to leave if they don't win that backup job. Because I just don't see a way in which Carson Beck doesn't win it when you've added the wide receivers that Georgia had. Now, we know A.D. Mitchell transferred and went to Texas. They've had some guys move on, but you return Brock Bowers, who to me isn't a tight end. He's a Swiss Army knife. He can play anywhere. Then you got Dominic Lovett from Missouri, one of the best receivers in the SEC, and another one of the best receivers in the SEC in Ra Thomas. And this is a little bit different than a high school kid because these guys are proven. The ingratiating period in the SEC, there is not one. They've already been baptized in the waters of the Southeastern Conference. So you're plugging in guys to help out a first-year starting quarterback that have experience. That's huge. Not only there, but with Brock at tight end, and Oscar Delp is a monster. I mean, Darnell Washington was legitimately really a monster. I mean, I think he was on Monsters, Inc., but you're replacing fantastic players with fantastic players. I think this Georgia team, and then you look at the defense, with all they lost, I get it. Overall, they returned 13 starters on the whole team, but they returned some guys on defense that we know aren't the biggest names because Nolan Smith's gone, Jalen Carter's gone. You've had some big Ringo's gone, but you got Malachi Starks and Kamari Lassiter. You got Dumas Johnson, who I think is going to be an All-American at linebacker, and Small Munden right next to him. Then you look at the defensive line. You got Nazir. You got Bear Alexander. Georgia's going to be elite again, and when you look at the schedule, it's basically laughable. I tell you what, Florida State, y'all know me. I'm very high on Florida State to make the playoff. I was leaning toward them win the national championship, but I'm going to be honest. If Carson Beck gets enough time to get ready with these weapons around him, Georgia's going to win the Sun Belt.
Three-peat?
Bama didn't do it. We haven't seen anybody do it in a long, long time. I can't even remember the last team to do it in the modern era. I can't think of anybody. I remember Florida winning too. But Georgia legitimately, because Carson Beck doesn't have to be the greatest quarterback in the world to go win a national championship, especially with that schedule. I'm leaning toward it. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to wait until the second portal session gets done and right before fall to make my picks. But guys, looking at the schedule,
that would be something.
And looking at what they return,
surprising.
That's not a hot take at all, in my opinion.
The thing about look at the returning quarterbacks from the next year. Like Bryce Young's gone.
Yep.
Right. The biggest
DJ's gone.
Georgia to worry about it's not your conference. It's the Michigan Wolverines. That's what you got to worry about.
What about LSU?
About it, you put LSU, to a certain extent, but I think Georgia can still beat up LSU.
Yeah.
I still think that Georgia's physicality always shows against LSU. I think LSU will have a great year, but you get into the playoffs, right? And Georgia matches up against Michigan. Basically, the Spider-Man, Jeff, right? We both want to do the same things. It's going to come down to physicality, and when it comes out of that, I lean Georgia's way. And then you look around the country, who are you afraid of if you're Georgia? Right now, you're a Georgia fan, even with all the talent you lost, which let's go back 2 years ago and see the talent you lost then, and you go back and win another natty. But who are you afraid of if you're Georgia? Who are you going to walk into a week on a Saturday and be like, damn, man, I don't really want to play?
No one now.
Nobody.
Confidence high. Back-to-back champs. You can't tell them nothing in Athens right now. But you know what? Speaking about Michigan, it's time to break down the alma mater, boys. Michigan Wolverines spring game this Saturday, April 1st. Jim Harbaugh coming off back-to-back wins over Ohio.
Can we get the inspirational music?
You want some inspiration? Bring in the inspirational music.
Please get that inspirational music.
Bring in the inspirational music.
David.
You ready?
Here we go.
It's time to break down the alma mater. Michigan Wolverines, boys. Spring game this Saturday. Jim Harbaugh, back-to-back wins over Ohio. Check those boxes.
Take that face out of them, dog.
Back-to-back college
Take that
football
face out.
playoffs. Have they won a college football playoff game? No, but we're over the TCU loss. We're over that, all right? Let's talk about it. J.J. McCarthy, you talking about quarterbacks returning? J.J. McCarthy's going to be a junior, threw for 2,700 yards last year. What do you have, 22 touchdowns, something like that? 5 INT, 65% completion percentage. Let's really dive in here, and a lot of this information is coming from beat writer Clayton Sapie. Go follow him on social media. Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards will be the best running back tandem in the country, bar none. They're both sitting out spring practice, but that's okay. All right, we want to get them healthy for the fall, all right? Offensive line, yeah, we lose Olatimi. So what do? You bring in Drake Nugent to play center from Stanford. I like that. And you know what? That's really going to raise the IQ of the team as well. We're probably going to get the graduation rates up when we're talking about that, all right? Khalil Mullings moving to running back from linebacker this spring, going to get a lot of reps. Now, you lose Mike Morris, okay, just like you lost Aiden Hutchinson the year before, but Michigan, to me, is turning into defensive end use. So where are we going to go? Chris Jenkins is going to be a star at defensive end, so much so that Coach Harbaugh says he may be the best player on defense. And you know what? For the first time in a long time, boys, I can say the Michigan Wolverines are stacked in the secondary. Will Johnson returning, Sainris still returning. They are stacked over there. Marion Walker is going to play some corner. Word from inside Schembechler Hall, sky's the limit for the kid. I like when I hear sky's the limit.
Me too.
All right? Sophomore Ernest Hausman transfers in from Nebraska to play linebacker, had 54 tackles last season. Hate that for the Cornhuskers. I like that for the Wolverines, though. Lose some depth at tight end, but Colston Loveland, who had that big time, remember that little branch and go route that we had against Ohio last year? He's going to be a playmaker. And then at wide receiver, Cornelius Johnson decided to come back. Roman Wilson in the slot. A.J. Henney, got Darius Clemens. It's going to be a problem, boys. You also need to replace Jake Moody at kicker, who may be the greatest kicker in Michigan history. Honestly, all in all, the Wolverines are slated to return 15 out of 22 primary starters and 33 out of 44 two-deep players.
That's how you do a spring preview of the alma mater right there, Coney. Good luck. Follow that.
Yeah, why do I got to follow that up? That's
do not be afraid to set as your goal national championship.
Oh, wow.
You're Michigan.
You don't hear Cone
Don't be
say
afraid
that a
to
lot.
set it as the goal,
You don't hear
man.
him say it a lot.
Let's win a playoff game first.
Do that first, and then
let's
win the
win a-
second one. You do that, and then you win the second one.
All right. Woohoo!
Kansas State.
Kansas State Wildcats, fellas.
Hey, they won the conference.
They did.
That's disrespectful to Kansas State, and I need to stand up for them.
That's just rude. I'm not going until it's.
No, that's great. That was well done. Not that I picked Kansas State to ball out last year, and they did.
Look, I mean, had a great year. You just ran into a pissed off Alabama team.
Yep.
They weren't in the playoffs. Let's start at the quarterback position. Who do you bring back? Will Howard. Will Howard is the QB1. I think Will Howard is going under the radar a lot. He's going to be, I think, an NFL quarterback in the next couple of years. He has the body. He's a tall kid, big arm. He's got to stop making certain mistakes at certain times, but that's big to bring back, especially as Kansas State's team with the season you had last year. Running back, you lost Deuce. I mean, you lost the 4-3 infant.
Yeah.
You know who could tackle in a phone booth, right? But what do? All right, Trayshawn Ward.
Okay.
Right? You got DJ Giggins. DJ had, a lot of people don't realize, DJ had over 500 yards last year. I mean, Deuce kind of took that out of the picture just because what Deuce was so electric. But you have two backs. Ward, who transferred from Florida State, is going to be a nice guy to come in. I mean, he averages 6.5 yards per carry. So I think you're going to be fine at the running back position at the end of the day. K-State, the one thing they'd like to do is what? Smash mouth football, right? K-State's one of the teams in the country who has 6 linemen out there more than anybody, right? Who do you get back? You get back Connor Beebe. NIL, baby. NIL. Big NIL deal. He comes back for his senior year. He can rival probably one of the best players on this team. I mean, I would say Will Howard to Connor Beebe. You bring him back left guard. I'm pretty sure on that. And then you bring back, with Beebe coming back, you're set with your seniors. Beebe, Porter, Hayden Gillum, Christian Duffy, and KT Livingston will all be in the starting rotation, which will be huge for Kansas State.
So they return all 5 offensive linemen?
All offensive linemen coming back.
Kansas
and that
State
is
does?
huge for Kansas State. Connor Beebe was the one guy that you could see go into the NFL, but he came back because of a what? an NIL deal. NIL is coming huge for a lot of people, and it's good for Kansas State. At the end of the day, Kansas State can be a really good football program. And I think walking in this year, especially with the new teams that got added to the Big 12. All right, then we go to the D lineman. You lose Ozama. He was your best edge rusher. All right, so what do you have to do if you're a coach? Let me go hop myself in that portal, and I'm going to pick up Javon Banks from Mississippi State. Javon's one of those guys. He's a two-tool guy. You can put him at backer. You can almost move him anywhere in the D line. I think he's going to be a big piece for them, especially I think they're going to end up putting him at D-tack. I really do. He's not the biggest cat in the world, but he's extremely good with his hands. And at the end of the day, it's all about holding gaps. All right, you don't have to get to the quarterback if you can hold in gaps. Javon's one of those guys, and you also have Khalil Duke. There's another guy you can replace Uzama with who's an edge guy, super athletic, can get your quarterback. And at the end of the day, Kansas State, we're going to stop the run and play good defense. That's what got you to where you were. You just ran into a pissed-off Bryce Young. And once you do that, there's not much you can do. All right, let's go to wide receiver fits. You lose Malik Knowles, you lose Cade Warner, your top two guys. All right, what
That's
do you do?
Kurt Warner's kid, right? You remember him?
Yep.
Little witch.
Yeah, he was nice.
Yeah, he was.
I can't remember what number he was, but he balled against Alabama. Yeah. So you guys have to go some young guys. RJ Garcia, Xavier Lloyd, and Sterling Lockett. Trust me, anybody with the last name Lockett, a receiver, I believe in it.
That's
all right,
exactly
I just
right.
believe in every way.
And Kansas State, I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
How
The thing about it is they had good rapport at the end of the season. And if you're a fan, especially when it comes to quarterback and receiver, it's all about what? It's all about chemistry. And you saw those guys hook up, especially late in the season. But this is the big worry when it comes to Kansas State. It's in the secondary, all right? You lost both your safeties. All right, you lost both your corners. And one of the corners right now are balling. He's had a great NFL day. Big kid, 6'4", but who are you going to replace him with? Jacob Parrish, all right? Kind of was banged up a little bit last year. He was a 2-year guy. He's coming in for his 3rd year. Someone's going to step up in this cornerback position, but he's got to put some weight on. I believe right now he's 6'2", 175.
Yeah, you got to get.
All right, you're going to have to put some weight on if you want to play with the big boys. You have Donovan McIntosh, incoming freshman, who I've heard great things about, especially in the weight room. But you got to take that weight room to the field, and if you can do that, then we start believing a lot of things. Then we go to the safeties. You lose 2 safeties going to the league, but you bring back 2 young guys. Avery Johnson is one of them. We'll see what he can do at the safety position. At the end of the day, the one thing they got hurt on when it comes to the Alabama game, I don't think they got beat up front that bad, but they got torched in the secondary.
Yeah, they did.
And Kansas State, you're going to have to rely. You got to expose a little bit, but trust in your coaching. I think Kansas State, schedule-wise, is going to have another successful year. I don't know if they'll win as many games as they did last year. That might be kind of a one-time thing for Kansas State, but I do see an 8+ win season.
Yeah, do you know if Colin Klein's coming back as the OC?
He is.
Man, I thought he was really good last year. I know they didn't look fantastic against Bama, but if you go back in that game, Will Howard missed some guys that were wide open in some key, crucial situations, some 3rd downs, including Kurt Warner's son a couple times, but I know Kurt Warner's son got him a couple big ones. So there you go. There's 3 more teams.
Should I pick Kansas State to win the Big 12 this year?
I don't want to dive too far into it, but
it's just kind of hard for me to pick.
With Texas returning the offensive line they are with Quinn Ewers, it's
hard for me.
I don't know. I'm going to have to go through it. Like I said, put some liquid paper on a B. Hey, YouTube, want to give you a little update. We are doing a live stream for the college basketball national championship game on Monday. We did one for the national championship in college football. We did one for the Super Bowl. We want to do one for the Natty in college basketball. It's been a crazy tournament so far. Make sure you join us on the live stream. We're going to be doing live betting, all types of stuff. It is a lot of fun. And make sure you subscribe to the channel while you're at it and check out all of our content. We appreciate y'all.